Hey guys, so now that you know all about file paths, we're going to use that important knowledge to help us build multi-page websites. And we're going to be introducing you to this concept of web pages. If we think of the websites that we've created so far, it looks something like this. It's pretty simple. Normally we'll have a project folder that contains the entire website, and inside there we'll have our starting file, which is our index.html, and this is where we've been writing all our code. Now there's other subsidiary files that we've had, like an images folder with images or other folders, etc. But in order to create a multi-page website, what we'll need is multiple web pages, right? So maybe we'll have an about page that tells people who visit our website all about ourselves. Maybe we'll have a contact us page so that people who visit our personal website, they can send us an email or they can call us if we want them to. All of these web pages then go into the same project folder and it becomes our multi-page website. And it might look something like this. We could have our index.html, we could have our about.html, we can have many others if we want to, but we have to refer to them in our anchor tags and using our links in order for the user to be able to navigate to it. If we're trying to show a link to the about page on our home page, which remember is our index.html, then we can use what we learned about the file path in order to get there. The path to take us to the about page, if we're creating this anchor tag inside the index.html, would look something like this. We have our href, which is set to /, which remember means that we should look inside the current directory, so inside our project folder, and then we're going to go to a file called about.html, which takes us to this particular page. And that means that when the user actually clicks on this link that links to the about page, then it should go ahead and redirect to this web page. And this is what it would look like if this anchor tag was rendered in a browser. When you click on the link, then it redirects you to the about.html. And then you end up seeing this HTML page instead of the home page. Now I've got a quiz for you, and this is a little bit of revision on how file paths work. We are located currently within the index.html, and we're trying to navigate all the way to this cat.png. We want to show this image on our home page. I've got 4 options for you here for how we would structure that image element. What I want you to do is to take out your mobile phone, open up your camera, and for you to scan the QR code of the solution that you think is correct. If you don't know how to scan your QR code, it's super simple. All you do is on Android, simply open up the camera application and just point it at the QR code. And the same thing in iPhone, open up the camera application, choose the normal photo mode, and then point it at the QR code. And when you point it, it should show up the URL either here on Android or here on iOS. And just simply tap on it and you'll be taken to a animated GIF that should tell you whether if you got it right or if you got the answer wrong. So let's go through the solution together one by one and see which one is correct. Now, if you picked option 1, then unfortunately, this would have been the wrong answer. And the reason is because the path starts off with 2 dots. And what this means is to go into the previous directory. This index.html is inside our project folder, and the / will go 1 level higher to this next folder right here. Now, we don't actually want to go into that folder. We want to go into the project folder. That's why this is wrong, unfortunately. Now, the next one is this one. And the reason why this one is also incorrect is because the image tag uses an attribute called source, SRC, and not the href. The href is only for the anchor tags and not for the image tag. And because in this case we want to display our cat image, then this is also unfortunately wrong. Now the third one I'm going to go through is here, so you'll probably know what the correct answer is. And the reason why this is wrong is because we have an anchor tag here instead of an image tag. An anchor tag will give us a link to a web page or a website or somewhere on the internet, but it will not display our image. So this is also incorrect. Finally, what we have is this one, where we have an image element with a source set to the correct file path, which is the current directory using /. So that means go into the project folder. That's what the / will do for us. And then from there, navigate to the assets folder. And then from there, navigate into images and then into cat.png. So this is the correct answer. Did you get it right? If not, be sure to revise the section on file paths because this is a really important topic for the up and coming lessons that we'll need to do. But if you did get it right, then congratulations, well done on completing the quiz. So now that you've seen how to create multi-page websites using file paths, then it's time to use this knowledge in an exercise. Go ahead and download the zipped file from this current lesson, and then go ahead and extract it and open it inside VS Code. Once you've got that extracted and open inside your web development project, you should see a file and folder structure that looks like this. Let's go ahead and expand everything so I can explain what's going on here. Here we've got our index.html located inside the 4.1 Webpages folder. And then we've also got some image assets, this cat image, which is inside a folder called images, and this folder is inside a folder called assets. So it actually looks something like what we had previously, which is the assets folder contains the images folder, which contains the cat.png. So just keep that in mind when you're working through it, because on VS Code, when a folder doesn't actually contain any files, but it does contain other folders, it can display it like this, which looks a little bit different from what you're used to. The other aspect we've got here is our public folder here. And this public folder normally contains all of the HTML files that is not our homepage. So apart from our index.html, everything else usually gets organized into the same folder, which is called public. Now, the challenge for you here is pretty simple. If you take a look inside the goal.png, it'll show you how to see the challenge. What I want you to do is to right click on the solution.html file here and then go ahead and click show preview. Now what this is going to do is going to show you the preview of what you're trying to achieve without showing you the solution code, which you will see if you click on this file. So make sure you don't just click on it, but you right click on it to see the preview. Now, once you're here, you can see what we've got is an H1 that's already been created for you in the starting code. And then the next part that I want you to do is to add an image of yourself that links to the about page. So this is very important. Here, this is obviously not myself. I could be a cat teaching you, but I am not. But what I've done for this image is I've embedded it inside a link. So when I click on this image, you can see it goes to the about.html page. Now, if I go back, then I'll go back to my home page. And at the very bottom here, I've got the second challenge, which is add a link to your contact me page. So here, if you click on this link, then you should be taken to the contact.html, which is inside the public folder right here. So these are your two web pages that you're going to link to, but you're going to do them a little bit differently. what I recommend is to start with this one, start with the Contact Me page, which is a little bit simpler. And then once you've got that working, then go ahead and do the second challenge up here. I think you should be able to do this. You might have to do a little bit of thinking, especially figuring out how to get an image that works as a link, but I think you will be able to do it. I'm rooting for you. Pause the video and complete the challenge. All right, so how did that go? Well, let's see if we can get it working. Firstly, I'm going to go ahead and switch to show preview so that I see my existing index.html site, so I can see if what I'm doing is actually working. Now, my first challenge is to add a link, so an anchor tag, to my Contact Me page. So I'll need to set the href to the Contact Me page. From the index.html, in order to get to the Contact Me, I first have to go into the directory which contains my index.html using /, and then here I can see my public folder, and then I can go into my contact.html. Now I can add the text for my link, which I'll say contact me, and let's test it out. If I click on it, it goes to the contact.html page, and if I go back, I go to my home page. So that's one challenge checked. Next one is this one, which is a little bit harder, but let's start with what we know. We know how to create an anchor tag, which we know we need to link to the About page. So let's set the href to go up into the current folder that contains my index.html, and then go into public and about.html. Instead of having text in here, what we can have is an image tag, and hopefully this is what you've worked out. For our image to work, we need to set a source, and if you have your own image, then you could drop it into the image folder here. But if you don't, or in this case, in my example, I'm going to link to that cat image. So again, I'm going to go into the current working directory, the current folder, and here I'm going to go to assets, images, cat.png. And now we have an image that links to the About page. Did you manage to get this to work? And if you did get it to work with the cat.png, I recommend taking your own photos somewhere from your computer, dropping it into this images folder, and try getting your own face up into this website. I think that would be super cool, and it's very achievable. So if you haven't done that, give that a go now. And once you're done, then head over to the next lesson where we're going to learn about the HTML boilerplate and how to structure a website's HTML in the proper fashion. So for all of that and more, I'll see you there.